Have there been some recurring problems that you had in your production that for you consistently were things, for example, the bass doesn't sound clean enough, that you figured out there was a recurring problem of yours in producing?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Many that changed that maybe you don't see at the beginning. And first it was the kicks, and then you think like the kick and the bass together, like you hear the low ends of your favorite artist and stuff. Like at my first tracks, even there were basically barely any bass line. Even it was just like kicks and rumbles, and then my taste changes and got into more like textural kind of bass line and stuff. And then you try and got into this kind of more sound design stuff, get this kind of struggle, and it always evolved. Then after this was about drums, that I thought how to make less predictable and boring drums. And so yes, I think it's part of every artist journey. And
And for example, you just did a masterclass from Sound. You show a lot about your creative process, about producing a track, from structuring the track, also working on the drums, bass line, but also the mix down, how you keep elements in different space. When you think about producing a good club track, what do you think are one or two things that a producer should really pay attention to?
I think it's all about the vibe or the emotion the track conveys, So like there are some easy formulas of doing an 8-step sequence and stuff like this, but to do something really that will, for a dance floor type of tracks, there's elements or combinations of sounds that will always work, I would say. So it's about picking the right sounds and assemble those sounds in the right way, But for me, it's more about the emotion
you convey with the track.
Exactly.
Yeah. And for you, if you look at your productions, do you find that are there tracks that have a lot of emotions and tracks that don't have so much emotion? And
so that's what I was gonna say. If you listen to my set, I enjoy Boys Side. I enjoy super minimal tracks and stripped down stuff. And I also enjoy breakbeat stuff and super emotional, melancholic stuff. And same with my production. So that's why from one EP to another, like my last Semantica EP is more like a sci-fi, but with a, let's say, modern approach. The one on Tar Hollows, more my super stripped down, minimal approach. And then my next one will be even more like sound design. I don't like working with formulas, and in the masterclass, that's why I show more like techniques instead of that's how I do a track, because like it's changed constantly since 10 years and it will always change, and it's different for every producer. So that's what makes for me the process enjoyable, is to always try new things out, and staying curious is the very important.
And you seem to enjoy having these different shades of your style, of your color palette, if you want. Does that depend on your mood? Does that depend on something? For example, like there are the moments in your life where you feel more happy and therefore you want to do more stripped down music.
Yeah, exactly. It's just on the moment, or as I told you, like new techniques I want to use or new stuff I heard that I want to give it my own twist. Like I try new techniques of types of tracks, or so that's how I process. So it changes every day.
And when you look at your discography, are there tracks that were particularly meaningful to you, and why?
Yes, few of them. I got recently a hard time with a family member, and like the day after I made a track, and I don't know, I managed to really put all the emotions in this, and through a like breakbeat type of track, super like atmospheric with pads and stuff. So that's one of them. Other than that, really, the one on Semantica that was made just with one sequence in a reverb, recorded for 5 minutes in one take. And I was also really surprised that Thanos picked this for the label, which is more dark or minimal stuff, and he picked like an ambient track, stripped down. So I was really happy about this one, and this is a meaningful track for sure.
It sounds like, especially for that track, it just came out of you. Does it feel that way, that sometimes you sit down, you're creating something, you're not even thinking?
Yeah, but I mean, for sure, that's when the best tracks happen, and it's like you have an idea before. That's usually how it works for me, that I have a small idea of like, I want to use this synth, experiment with that synth. And here it was like really only that synth, I think, with variations in Ableton, and that's it, just in a reverb and tweaking the synth parameters. So yeah, to end up on this is like having an idea before, and like in that case, limitations, and limiting yourself to this forces you to, instead of having opening 10 plugins and different presets.
Limitations for you, it's mainly about the options of instruments you can use.
Yeah, or it depends. Maybe this, or you say, I want to start a track. This track is gonna be like a random sequence. That's gonna be the main thing of the track. Or like this track, I'm not gonna have a synth. It's only gonna be drum tool. Like instead of saying I want to do a track exactly like this and stuff, or just like whatever happens. Sometimes I do this also if I don't have an idea. Sometimes I grab a synth and just experiment, or that's also cool. But for me, what works better when I want to start a track is to just have a small thing, to put my mind on. I used to do like one track per day and many horrible tracks, but that's how I learned basically. I think that's what slowly made me better in production step by step, because just forcing myself to do one track per day, like I did this for, I don't know, 3-4 years. And then eventually few on the hundreds of tracks I did ended up being released. And the rest was a lot of trash, but that's how I learned so much. And then now I'm taking more of my time. And before I used to be like working on only one track at a time, and I wouldn't open another project until that track was finished. And now I slowly started to start an idea. And when I start see like you turning in circles, or it's like you just need to go somewhere else, either take a break or open a new project and go back the day after, a few days after.
And that works well for you because it probably releases the pressure.
Yes, exactly. Like I was this stupid thing of like forcing yourself, and it was the same, I was forcing myself like to. Sometimes 5 years ago, I would even go to have a drink with some friends. I would feel like guilty because I wasn't making music, like it was even a unhealthy relationship with the music. And I was like, yeah, you need to be making music, but like that's one thing I learned to do is like, yeah, some days like just take a break, go see outside, go do Muay Thai, go have a drink with a friend, and then go back with a fresh mind. And you see it's not going anywhere. And same with the track, when you're working on a track, you're like tweaking the same IQ for like half an hour. Just open something else and come back to it later. And then you open it the day after, like the thing you spent 2 hours on it, you in 2 seconds you find it, you're like,
it's done. Yeah,
exactly.